See, I did that and it didn't work last time. Okay. So, am I visible to them?
Yeah, this is
okay.
This
And
is
there's
what they can see. You can watch right here. That's what they see.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, obviously
They don't see much.
Stuff,
okay. Okay. So since we're here, and I don't know if anyone shut up yet, we have 2 viewers. That might just be you and me.
And it is. I mean, it's just the 2 of us.
Okay, well, you know what? It doesn't matter because we're going to record this thing, and then it will be seen by tens of thousands.
Millions.
No, we're down to 0 viewers now. Let me go on to Discord and tell those guys.
Because I'm watching, so it should be at least 1.
Okay, the message has gone out. It says 0 viewers in the chat room on Streamlabs.
I'm watching, so I don't know.
I don't know what to say. Maybe it's an old chat room? No, it says it's up there. Okay, so we're going to go to so first, in regards to the coming 5e Cthulhu stuff to which I clicked. Oops, let's hide that. To which I clicked, ask a question. Not sure if Glorantha is related, but that button on the page took me here. Will there be a Pathfinder version of it? My understanding is that we are working on a Pathfinder 2 version of the Sandy Petersen Cthulhu mythos, so presumably that will be around. Okay, next question for Jeff. It is early in the morning for us here. I've read somewhere that Nicealor and Gavagi were different entities. Is that true, or some lunar propaganda?
Well, I would say it is a
no digging around like Greg would do. You got to give us a straight answer, Jeff.
Yeah, but thing about it, Greg, is Greg would give a straight answer in this interview, and then 15 minutes he would give the opposite interview or opposite answer, as we all know. Nicealor and Gavagi are 2 sides of the same coin, but they are also arguably 2 different individuals. Because the Lunars are passionately convinced that Arcat is the same entity as Nicealor, while good old Rashanna is the same entity as... Sorry, did I say Arcat is the same entity as Gavagi? Rashanna is the same entity for the Lunars as Nicealor. But we all know...
Are they not swayed by the fact that there is recorded cases of Arcat fighting Gavagi hand-to-hand?
Well, they say that Arcat was Gavagi fighting against the good god Nicealor. They like Nicealor, Sandy. You know that.
Okay, I know they do.
Nicealor's the good guy. Gavagi, on the other hand, the vile deceiver. That's pretty clearly, that's Arcat. If I'm looking at it from within the Golden Empire. 2 sides of the same coin.
Okay. Tell me everything and everything about Hungry Jack. How was it created? Where is it now? Well, I know how it was created. It was created to be a fun unit for the White Bear Red Moon game, to be released in the Worms
Wasn't
Footnotes.
it in a White Bear? It was in one of the Worms Footnotes expansions on the game originally.
Yeah, that's right. That's where it was. Yeah. And it couldn't move, and it would draw things to it. And then,
well, you would have to. Didn't you have to you had to move it with a dragon?
Yeah, you had to move it with a dragon because it was big, and it didn't have any combat really, so it wasn't that dangerous. You had to put other things with it to eat the guys that came. And there is I think there was at least one story by Greg, short story, that Hungry Jack appeared in.
Yes, with Sir Ethelrest.
Yes.
Sir Ethelrest fought against Hungry Jack, succumbed to it, and was saved by Keener Than.
Okay.
It appears in RuneQuest Companion.
Right. And I remember another story where he mentions a seething mass of Walktopie inside the ruins of a giant pumpkin. And that might have been Hungry Jack.
Greg definitely had a pumpkin fixation.
Yeah. And one of my adventures, they met a Hungry Jack-like entity in the Chaos Footprint.
Yes.
And that's all I know. So do you know more about him?
Yeah, Hungry Jack is currently located in the foothills or the wall of the Rockwood Mountains in Doristor.
Yeah, in Dorester. I thought he was further up, but
Nope, he's in Doristor. He's in Doristor. Greg even put 4 or 5 locations on his hand-drawn map of Doristor of where Hungry Jack is.
huh.
So apparently, Hungry Jack, they either he has.
That's right. I put him in. Actually, I put him in one of the lands in this under the Syndic's ban. Okay, well, Doraster it is then.
Doraster it is.
So how does anything
Hungry
survive in Doraster? Doesn't Hungry Jack eat everything?
Well, Doraster's awfully darn fertile, and
That's
Hungry
true.
Jack is at the end of the day. I don't know how much a giant pumpkin eats. I mean, he is an awfully big pumpkin, but
Yeah,
how much protein does it take to keep a giant
pumpkin going. Yeah, there's
going?
lots of grayskins, you know.
Yeah, there's one thing you got to say about Doristor is it is fantastically fertile.
Yeah.
It's all wrong and horribly corrupt, but boy, that thing, grayskins brew, it breeds stuff like crazy. So plenty of food for your giant Hungry Jack.
Okay, so the next question is, please tell me more about zombie ducks. And I'm a little prepped for this because we were talking about it earlier. So here is everything you want to know about zombie ducks and probably more. So way back when, Greg was making his map of Dragon Pass for the game White Bear Red Moon, and he asked one of his friends to name one of the towns, and it was near the swamp, Delecti's Marsh. And the guy said, Duckburg. And Greg said, we can't call it Duckburg, we'll call it Duck Point. And he said, okay, but there's ducks there. And that's where the ducks came from in Glorantha. This one guy's desire to have Duckburg and like Uncle Scrooge and stuff. So Duckburg was there. And then it was right there next to Delecti's Marsh, full of necromancers. So if you play White Bear Red Moon and you ally with Delecti, first thing you do every time is send the ducks, which are the crappiest units you've got, into the marsh to turn into zombies. Always you do that, right?
Yes.
Then the next thing is that. So we're now the game RuneQuest is being created by Steve Marsh. And Steve wants the ducks to have some special connection with some cult. Because like the elves have Aldrya, and all the non-human races have a connection to some cult. So the ducks need one too. So he decided it would be entertaining if the ducks were connected to war gods and death cults. So the ducks get a bonus in joining death cults in the old second edition of RuneQuest and first edition. So then this plays off because the death cult in Sardar is, of course, Humak, who hates undead, and they're right next to the marsh, and the first thing every player does is feed the ducks to Delecti as zombies. So suddenly there's this like cognitive dissonance where the ducks hate undead, yet they're always becoming zombies, and they're right next to the marsh. And so this just got more and more entertaining over time. It all just came together serendipitously. And I remember one quote from Greg was, I said, what are these zombie ducks doing here? And Greg says, can you imagine anything less terrifying than a zombie duck? And so that was it. So that's the zombie duck story. So there are zombie ducks.
The only mitigating factor is that I imagine, since, as we all remember from Cults of Prax, if you are an initiate of RuneQuest or of Humacht, you can't be turned into undead after you die. Humacht, I mean, that's one of the bargains you get with Humacht. So I imagine a lot of ducks join the cult of Humacht just so that they don't end up being truly pathetic zombie ducks.
Could be. I do remember that there are zombie vampires too. Vampire ducks, and they have and Greg said that they had false teeth, but I said, but we know ducks have teeth to hold their cigars, and he said, yeah, but the zombies have to have false ones. So next, the Shanna See. Do we have anything interesting stories in them? I have one interesting story about the Shanna See, then I'll let Jeff go on from there.
Okay.
My interesting story is that Greg invented a race of sky beings called the Shanna See, who lived in the sky, and they came down with their spears and they fought the bad guys during the Gods' War. And then later on, he created a race of ruling elf beings called the Shanna See. And they would go off and fight the bad guys, and then Greg apparently disliked the word Shanna See, and then some years later, in fact, I said, who are these Shanna See, Greg? He goes, they're the sky gods. And later on I said, who are the Shanna See, Greg? He goes, they're these these woods creatures, and I said, Greg, they're both, and then that's when Greg realized that he had used the name for two different things. So I don't know
Correct.
where they stand now. Jeff, tell us.
Well, one has an extra A in it. Greg did realize at some point his mistake there, but man, he liked the sound Shanna See or Shanna See. And there is two races in Glorantha with very similar names. One are the Sky Children, because Shanna See at the end of the day sounds a heck of a lot better than Luxite or Angel or Sky Person. I mean, it is a cool sounding name, but it is also the name of the spouse of Aldria, the sentient great tree that is at the center of every elf forest. The names are spelled slightly different, so it's just one of these cases of two different entities with closely related names that drives copy editors insane, but in my opinion actually makes it more realistic the way people name things.
I can't help but wonder if Greg should have gone ahead and fessed up to the fact that Aldria was married to a sky god, just like so often happens with Earth deities anyway. But he didn't, so there it is.
Nope. Think about it this way: it's an awfully tall tree.
Yeah.
And an awfully tall tree might as well be
Sure.
tied to the sky somehow.
Okay, so my question is about the Wind Children. Did they fight beside the storm gods during the Gods' War? Did they interact much with any human cultures throughout the three Gloranthan ages? Will they play any roles in the Hero Wars? So I'll say everything I know about them, which is very little, and then Jeff can tell us more. I am not even sure they existed in the Gods' War. I know they are the outcome of a miscegenation between humans and storm things, Kolati or something, and that's all I know. So I'm done.
Yes, okay. I'll add on to that, Sandy. Yes, the Wind Children or creatures that are pretty much identical to the Wind Children existed during the Gods' War period. They were a common during the period that the storm gods ruled. They were a common race that would be found in the areas that they ruled, because they were the children of storm entities, elementals, Kalati, whatever you want to have it be, sentient winds, and mortals. So it's the Gods' War.
They interact with human cultures. I know that there's storm children who are kind of like semi-worshipped in Dragon Pass, and I know that there are wind children in the mountains by Krelorella who are basically considered Sunshan or Beastmen by the Krelori and are their enemies. That's all I know about their human culture interaction.
The Wind Children of the Storm Mountains have a long history of interacting with the human cultures. They interacted with the First Council people in some great stories.
They seem to interact mostly like as part of the human culture, not as their own independent motivations.
Correct. They're basically, I find it easier to understand the Wind Children as a very, very small offshoot of human culture.
Well, they're bigger in the Krelori Mountains.
Yes, where they are called the Eagle.
But the thing is, they can be anywhere because since they're the product of mating with storm things, they aren't like a regular race that, you don't have trolls somewhere unless trolls got there at some point or burrowed up in the underground. But Wind Children, you could have wind children in the East Isles or in Drastella or anywhere. Just anywhere something goes wrong.
I imagine there's a lot of them around top of the world.
Yeah.
Right? That's this huge elevated mountain range area that doesn't have a lot of cultivation or civilization around it. It's the sort of place you could put a
Wind Children Empire, yeah. Oh, here's the last thing then. Will they play any role in the Hero Wars? That's for you, Jeff.
Yes, they are the Wind Children. If we all remember from White Bear, Red Moon, or the Dragon Pass game, the Wind Children ally with Argrath.
But they're not going to play a role independent of Argrath, you don't think?
No, their role is they participate and directly intervene in the Hero Wars on the side of Prince Argrath.
Okay.
They're allies of his.
Okay, next question. When will the Prince of Sardar webcomic, http://www.princeofsardar.com, resume?
God, the Princess Sardar webcomic was a wonderfully fun experiment that I did with Colin Kodeff on basically playing around with the look of Glorantha and try to
Yeah, I
figure
love
out
that the different gods had their art was drawn as according to their culture. That was hilarious.
Yes, I greatly enjoyed it. However, doing a webcomic or doing any sort of comic is a very, very time-consuming undertaking, and I'm the chair of Chaosium and the creative director of Chaosium. I'm a primary writer on RuneQuest and working to get the new edition of Pendragon up and running, plus other things. So, if we can clone me and give me a lot more free time, then I'll happily return to the webcomic. But as it is, I suspect everybody at Chaosium would get pretty angry with me if I started spending a ton of time on that.
So your answer to when will it resume is probably not soon.
Probably not soon. I need again. Was a very, very interesting thing to be involved in, but it's a lot of work doing a comic, and just like it's a lot of work doing a book. It's hard to do 2 or 3 of these things at once.
Okay.
And Sandy, I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Well, I mean, we did a comic on Planet Apocalypse. I didn't have to script it. Okay, did Arcat's children or descendants play a prominent role during the Hero Wars?
Arcats or Argrats?
Arcats. I'm not sure. Did he have any kids left? Were they not all wiped out by the Godlearners?
Or does it make any? I mean, can you even trace what his kids would be after more than 1,000 years?
Well, I mean, sure, you could, right? I mean, there's plenty of guys in the trolls trace their genealogies back thousands of years.
True, and there are.
And if your dad was Arcat, you might be impelled to want to trace back to him or to not, right?
Yeah, well, certainly amongst the humans, I would imagine that in Rallios, being descended from Arcat during the Godlearner period would have been a death wish. Yeah. And so there may be humans.
Yeah, and there is a lot of turmoil going on in Rallios during the second age and even the third age.
Yes, I mean in Guhan there may be trolls that still can trace their descent back to Arcat. I can completely buy that, but humans, I can't imagine.
Well, but it doesn't matter if the human. Will his children play a prominent role in the Hero Wars?
Well, certainly his yes, not his children, but his children's 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 children's. I mean, how many?
What about his cult?
What?
What about his cult? The Shadow Warriors.
His cult does play a role in this. Part of the reason that Argrath is able to get Malchione sighting or quasi Malchione sighting against the Lunar Empire is because of the connection with Arcat. Remember, Argrath gets to claim that he is the new incarnation of Argrath, or at least one of them. And given that the character Argrath and Arcat are pretty much the same guy in Greg's earlier stories. You remember that, right? The stories of Argrat.
Yeah.
The one way of looking at the Hero Wars is it's the repeat of the previous Nicealor or Gavagi or Nicealor Arcat Wars, with Arcat playing the role of Arcat and the Red Emperor playing the role of Nicealor. Greg being a good enough story writer, it's not exactly the same as that, but there's certainly an element that some of the people involved and some of the factions involved in the Hero Wars view that Argrath is the new incarnation of Arcat, and so very much Arcat is playing a role in it. And the Black Arcat cult does back Argrath, at least until Arcat betrays his own supporters, seems to happen in every Arcat seems to have a tendency to do that.
I don't remember Argrath doing that so much, but maybe he will at some point.
Well, he does build the temple to the Reaching Storm. That's got to be problematic for some of the more reactionary Orlanthi. He allies with the dragons, which certainly
Yeah.
has got to be troubling for some of its
but he does
allies.
pull off the Orlanth taming a dragon thing. Okay, so it would be so cool, says this person, to have brief histories of each of the God's War deities appear in future Kickstarter updates. Any chance of getting these updates from the future RuneQuest Glorantha Cults Deities books? Well, I think you should have to buy the RuneQuest Glorantha Cults Deity book.
I think so as well.
I mean,
It's an awesome
if
book.
Jeff wants to give me a teaser for him, I'd be happy to put him in an update.
I
with a
would be
link to
happy
his
to
book.
give you a teaser for them. I would be very happy to do that.
He
And
does say
and
brief histories, so that sounds teasery to me.
yeah, well, one thing I have done, Sandy, is I've updated. Remember the old Prosopadia?
Yes,
I've completely updated that for the new RuneQuest book.
cool. It was pretty
So-
sketchy, really.
I loved that. Did you do most of the writing in the Prosopadia?
Yeah,
Yeah, I loved it. I figured that was a mostly
we were
Sandy
aiming at
right.
quantity.
What was that?
Yeah. Okay. I remember Greg coming up with it when I said, "What do the water gods look like?" And on the spot, Greg decided he didn't want to work it out, so he said, "They're all iconoclasts and they don't have any statues." So I said, "Okay, fine." That's where that came from. Okay, I shouldn't make people.
The problem is now we have God's Wars, so we now know that at least some cultures do represent them.
But they can see yeah, but not the merman apparently. Okay, so any chance of getting, and of course the merman. So yeah, we'll put teasers up from those if Jeff gives them to me. Okay, the last question I have in my my list here is: in what way is Rashanna the midwife of time? And I got this straight off your website, Jeff. So this is your question.
Oh, you got it straight. Is this a Sandy question to me?
No. This is a person. In Rashanna is the midwife of time in the God's War 2. And I got that nickname of her midwife of time from your site. So you got to tell us how she's the midwife of time.
So
she must have been there when Nicealor and Kajabor were together, right?
Exactly. What is time the child of?
Well, Nicealor wrestles with Kajabor, the devil, and then gives birth. So she's a spider. So it's obviously what's going on. And time is the child of chaos and Nicealor.
Right.
So,
and Rashanna is the one who prepares the gods for that acceptance. She is the source of illumination, right? So time incorporates chaos within it. It's impossible to get away from that. And prior to time, chaos and nature could be viewed as completely different spheres. But thanks to time, they are inextricably linked together. There is chaos in the world, and Rashanna is the one who prepared the gods and the cosmos for that secret or that truth, however you want to characterize that. And so, in that manner, she's the midwife of time.
Okay. Hey, Lincoln, is the chat room here? Is this visible to the? Are they able to type into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is one of the things. I've got an old essay of yours that I always liked. Talking about trying to provide something of a corrective to some of Greg's enthusiastic embrace of illumination and the lunar way. I believe it's a essay you did for the guide that I think was more
about why illumination was bad. Yeah.
Yes, why illumination is bad. And
yeah, Greg liked that.
I think it's a great essay, and the thing is that having entropy and chaos within the cosmos is not a good thing. Entropy sucks. It sucks that everything breaks down. That mortals are doomed to die, so forth and so on. But the Illuminates are right. It is part of the cosmos. It just isn't a good thing necessarily. I think you were a little more emphatic on it then about how bad it was.
Well, yeah,
I love the essay.
I was wearing my hat as an anti-lunar guy. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I always view you as less lunar than Greg was.
Greg was started out pretty much the same page as me, or maybe I got it from him. And then when we go to sometime in the mid '80s, we go to England, where the Reaching Moon guys were.
And they converted him.
And there we found out, to our astonishment, that the British fans thought the Lunars were the good guys, because it was just obvious to us that the heroic ragtag rebels were the good guys as Americans, right? But the British, well, they have this huge empire of redcoats, for crying out loud, suppressing these bandits. So of course they were pro-lunar, and Greg just thought that was great, that there was these two different aspects worked, and then they're the ones that convinced him about the greatness of the. He extended his mind and said, we can have, because at one time we were going to do a whole series of things about rebels against the Lunar Empire and stopping the Lunars and all this anti-lunar stuff, and that all went away, and we said, we're not going to take sides anymore. It's going to be even. Okay, so we don't seem to have questions. I guess we answered them. So, Jeff, I would like you to tell us about what you have coming up from Chaosium that people want to hear about.
Okay, well, I think that's going to mainly I'll stick largely to the Glorantha side of things. The three projects that I'm working on right now. So the way that we have things working at Chaosium is Jason Dural is the line editor for RuneQuest, and he handles the bulk of the regular publication. So he's got the Smoking Ruin is at the printer and should be showing up at stores as quickly as it comes out of Lithuania. The next book that goes in from regular production is the Pegasus Plateau, which is another group of scenarios. We're really trying to load up on scenarios for the new RuneQuest. And then we've got the RuneQuest starter set, very similar to the Call of Cthulhu box set, that basically gives you everything you need to have to start playing RuneQuest in a box. So it's got a solo adventure, it's got pre-gens, it's got a Johnstown city book and a group of adventures that take place in the Johnstown area. And we're following the format that we did with the very well-received Call of Cthulhu starter set on that. And then my big project, so he's got a number of other projects that he's working on. He's got there's a Grayslander campaign book. There is a arms and equipments book, and so forth. Then there's the books that I'm working on, which is getting the art finished on the Cults book. And we've got some very, very exciting news on the artist, the lead artist that will be finishing that book up. We just have to wait for him to finish up the Malleus Monstrosum, but we're looking at working with Loic Bouzy to finish up the art.
That's for Call of Cthulhu, right?
No, that's for RuneQuest.
RuneQuest Malleus Monstrorum. Okay, cool.
Well, no, Malleus is for Cthulhu. Loic, though, wants to switch gears and work with us on RuneQuest now.
Right. I know the Malleus. That's what I thought. Okay, yeah, the Malleus.
Yeah.
So he's switching.
So we're looking at getting the Cults book out by the end of the year. We've got the Red Book of Magic, which is the list of all the spells for rune magic and spirit magic for all of the cults that appear in the Cults book, plus some spells that appear in cults that do not appear in the Cults book. So it's basically a one-stop reference for spirit and rune magic. Then I have the RuneQuest campaign book, which will end up with a better title than that. But this is basically Boy King for RuneQuest. So it's the Hero Wars campaign. And I'm working with Chris Klug on finalizing the narrative mechanics for hero questing in RuneQuest. We've got the mechanics of your rewards and what sort of benefits you get from it. But what we've been really working on is narratively how to have GMs and players that really don't know anything about Gloranthan mythology beyond what's in the core book or maybe the Cults book, maybe.
It's always been the challenge for Glorantha, is there's so much stuff and no one wants to read 1,000 pages to, well, maybe some people do, but a new GM doesn't.
New GM doesn't. So what we've realized is the problem with hero questing. We had the mechanical side of this finished a long time ago, and you've solved it. The mechanical side of it, you've solved it before. Greg had solved it before. Lots of people had solved the, what sort of cool benefits, what sort of cool things do I get out of a hero quest?
Yeah.
The real trick is how do we give tools to a GM to be able to create these mythological feeling adventures that follow more of a story tale myth logic than regular gaming logic. How do we give them the tools to do that? And how do we let them create adventures without having to know a lot about Gloranthan mythology? And so I've been working with Chris to finish that up, and we think we will have our expectation is we'll have the final text and mechanics of that ready for Gen Con, and then it goes into art. So those are my special projects right now, and I think they're all pretty cool ones, aren't? I mean, how long have most of these been promised, Sandy?
Well, I mean, we were promising them back in 1981, so.
Exactly.
So you mentioned something earlier about Pendragon. What's the word on that?
We will be doing a 6th edition launch. So Greg spent his last few years really revising the Pendragon rules, stripping some of this down, making parts of it play better in play, particularly the battle system, which Greg was in his soul of soul. Greg was always a war gamer.
Yeah,
and could not think for the longest time, could never think of a battle system that wasn't really about determining who wins the battle.
right.
But that's not really important in Pendragon.
No.
What's important is, what does my character do in during a battle, right?
Right.
I mean, and this has always been a problem this was a problem in battles in RuneQuest, battles in Pendragon, and so he really took a new look at how that should be handled, streamlined the rule book down, and then we will re-release the Grand Pendragon campaign as 4 setting campaign books. So you can pick which era you want to focus on, rather than grabbing an entire 500-page book and trying to work, being put in a position where, hey, in order to play this awesome game, you need this super gigantic 500-page campaign that will take you several years to play through.
Okay.
So I'm really excited on and then we'll have a starter set. I mean, we're doing a really big push on Pendragon because I think it's always been a game that the gameplay itself is fantastic, but it's always been one that just has been awkwardly marketed and pushed as a game line.
So there you are. You have Glorantha and RuneQuest. You have Call of Cthulhu, and you now have Pendragon.
Plus, we got John Wick 7C as well.
Oh yeah.
So
that's right.
Yeah, and I haven't even talked about Cthulhu. I mean, Cthulhu, we're doing that. Malleus is going to be an amazing book, Sandy.
Cool.
Absolutely amazing book. I think it may be the prettiest Call of Cthulhu book ever done. Loic, you're familiar with Loic Mouzy's art, right?
Yes.
He's that amazing French artist that really did such a fantastic job of describing the Cthulhu mythos. He's done 100 illustrations for the Malleus.
Cool.
So, and then we've got a bunch of Cthulhu campaigns coming out. We'll be revisiting and updating the classic Arkham era campaign material, and that should be coming out either late this year or next year. So a lot on that, a lot on 7C. I mean, it's been I like to think we've done a pretty good job with Chaosium the last couple of years.
Yeah, you're way up from where it was. So well done, Jeff. And I think we got more than half an hour of stuff here. So I think we'll call it. And thank you very much. Are we going to see you in England at the end of May? UK
Maybe.
Games Expo. I'll be there.
Or you'll be there. That
I'm
would
going to be
awesome.
there, so I thought that might be an extra draw.
I would that's a pretty good argument. To
Wendy
try to
will be
make
there too.
Oh, wow. Well, then I've got to try to make it.
And I think Arthur going to.
Arthur's going.
Yeah, but you're not. You're going even till Essen, right?
They're forcing me to go to Essen instead of UK.
We're also going to Essen.
Well,
this year
fantastic.
For the first time in 3 years, so we'll be at UK Games Expo and at Essen, and of course at Gen Con, but grudgingly at Gen Con, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because Gen Con's just it's so difficult.
Those guys
So
are Looney Tunes, yeah.
Well, Sandy, this was an awful lot of fun. Always happy to do. Always happy to talk and about Glorantha and RuneQuest or anything that we're all working on together.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. All right. So Lincoln's going to close down our shields here.